Welcome to another History Creators Quickie training module. In this training, I'll be exploring the different technology tools you need to create an author platform. There is a common thread that ran through the 2,000 plus authors that I've helped with their self-publishing efforts, and that is technology usually isn't one of their superpowers. I want to stress that technology is vital to building a successful author platform. However, you can keep it very simple, and there is no need to get caught up in all the tech hype the 2-minute gurus peddle online. Hi, I'm Ian Bosler. I started Intertype Publishing Print back in 2004. Since then, I've been on a mission to disrupt the traditional publishing industry and to remove all the BS content creators must put up with. These quickie training modules will help you build the solid foundations needed to deliver a successful publishing project. In previous episodes of Saturday Secrets, I explored using the marketing pyramid approach to building your author platform. To recap, the marketing pyramid consists of 3 frameworks. Firstly, foundations, secondly, systems, and thirdly, media. Additionally, the 3 elements that make up the systems framework are branding, marketing and sales process, and with this module, we're going to be talking about the tools to make it happen. When it comes to the tools you need, you must first understand the issues surrounding the tools you own and the tools you borrow. Get this wrong, and the author platform that you've invested considerable time and money in can come crashing down overnight through no fault of your own. I'm a big advocate of owning as many of the tools as possible, while accepting that there are some that must be borrowed and others that are a mix of owned and borrowed. When you own the tool, you retain complete control of how it's configured, but more importantly, you control and own the data. Ownership usually requires more effort and cost initially, but the upside is massive in terms of performance and risk minimization. The following examples help you understand the difference between borrowed and owned. Facebook is a classic borrowed platform, and chances are you've probably already experienced pain from arbitrary rule and algorithm changes. This is also an example of where you need to accept that risk, as the marketing upside is enormous. Your website is a platform that you should own, or at least substantially control most of the elements. There are many low-cost shared or borrowed platforms that you can use, but these are high risk. They come with more than a few performance issues, and if the company changes the rules or closes suddenly, a core element of your platform will disappear overnight, and you'll be back to square one, as there are no backups that you can revert to. The following is a summary of the major tools you need to build a successful author platform. While this isn't an exhaustive list, there are many alternatives as well. It's worth remembering that you don't have to start out with all the tools. I've excluded the latest and greatest bright shiny objects. These will only add to your confusion. Finally, I'm working on the assumption that you have a reasonably modern computer, be it a desktop or a laptop, Mac or PC, doesn't matter. You have a smartphone, whether it's an iPhone or an Android, doesn't matter. But you need also an internet connection. Your author platform will always be a work in progress and will evolve as your requirements change and as new, more appropriate tools come on the market. To illustrate a common evolutionary process, it's worth comparing a basic setup for a new author with simple requirements against an author who is using their book to leverage into high-paying coaching clients. Firstly, we have web hosting. This is important as it will gain you much more control over your website and email address if you have your own hosting account. Some web developers will default you to their hosting platform, which may seem easy for you. However, it adds considerably to your risk. It's best practice to use a web hosting company whose servers are located near your primary market. For Australians, my preference is Venture IP, which have amazing local support. Now, I've used HostGator and GoDaddy, which are fine if US based. However, I found their support and performance in Australia to be lacking. We look at the domain names. You should register your own domain name. Don't be tempted to have your web developer do this for you, as they may not transfer the registration to you. It's not hard to do it yourself, and again, in Australia, I recommend Venture IP. If you're outside Australia, go with a local company, and remember, it's much easier if they are also hosting your website. I recommend that you pick up domain names that cover your book title and your author name. My preference is to pick up both .com.au and .com names if possible. If outside Australia, you should pick up your local domain as well as .com. Your website. The reality is you can start your author platform without a website whatsoever. However, it should be on your medium-term plans. Most of Intertype's authors start with the landing page we build them within our bookstore, which is fine if you only plan on releasing 1 or 2 books. If you're serious about making a living from your writing or using your book to leverage another business, then a website is a vital component of your platform. My preference is to use WordPress. Now, there are plenty of low-cost developers and designers out there that can have a sophisticated site up and running in no time at all. WordPress also has many plugins that enable you to evolve your website as your needs change over time. You may need an e-commerce system. Now, if you intend to sell books or other products from your website, you will need to add e-commerce capability. There are plenty of WordPress plugins that cater for this, with my favourite being WooCommerce. You will also need a payment functionality to the order taking process. I've tried eWay in Australia, but found it very clunky and the support lacking. PayPal is okay, and still use this for some of my sites, but my favourite payment processor is Stripe. Stripe was super easy to set up and works flawlessly. Now again, I use Infusionsoft to manage my entire e-commerce process, including the e-commerce element as well as the payment gateway. Customer relationship management. Now, building a list is a core element of your author platform. A list allows you to own the relationship with your readers or customers. Your list can be built on simple tools such as Excel. However, this lacks the functionality to effectively market to your list. A customer relationship management or CRM tool, on the other hand, is where you need to evolve to. These tools, when properly utilized, will give you a deep understanding of each customer as well as enabling segmentation of your list. There are many options you can use, ranging from free right up to the top of the range, costing $200,000 US plus per month. Like anything you like in life, you get what you pay for. So think carefully about the free platforms, as I don't believe the lack of functionality or the risk is worth it. While you own the data contained within these platforms, it's worth remembering that they are borrowed platforms, and it's a good practice to regularly export a copy of your data just in case the platform ceases to exist. I use Infusionsoft to build and manage my list. Email marketing. The effectiveness of email marketing isn't what it used to be. However, it is still a vital communication tool and will make you lots of sales if used correctly. If you're just starting out, some of the free and low-cost platforms may be all you need. Constant Contact and MailChimp are 2 examples I've had experience with, and both work fine. You can also use these as list building and management tools. However, the functionality is geared to facilitating delivering emails. A downside of these types of shared platforms is that email deliverability can be poor, and your emails may end up in your customers' junk email folders. I use Infusionsoft for my email marketing. Marketing automation. You don't need sophisticated marketing automation when you're starting out. However, as you grow, it will save you an enormous amount of time and will enable your author platform to run on autopilot. The marketing functions you can automate cover most of your marketing and sales process, referred to in episode 8. For example, You can fire off an email and or an SMS sequence that gently transitions a new contact to a sale. You can then follow up after the sale to request a review and even a referral, all on autopilot. I use Infusionsoft to manage my marketing automation. Basically, its core capability encompasses all the major elements needed for an author platform. It's all in one application. However, it's not cheap and it may not be suited for those who are starting out. Social platforms. Social media marketing is another vital element for your author platform. With so many options out there, the issue is deciding on which you should use. The key thing to remember is that it's impossible to be effective on all the platforms, so you need to focus in on a small number, ideally 3 or 4. To start with, you need to look at the platforms you already use. The chances are you only need to optimize those that you're already active in and for which you have a following. In earlier trainings, you defined your target markets and avatars. Where these people hang out socially will also influence the platforms to use. My preference is to minimize the amount of personal and private materials I share, but doing it in a way that still allows my authentic self to be visible. As authors, we must be mindful that we need to nurture our personal book and business brands in a clear, consistent, and thoughtful way. Now, I use the following, which are also good start points for most authors. LinkedIn. I use it to strengthen a personal author brand, and it's very important for non-fiction and if you use your book to leverage a business. Facebook. There's the personal account, which will strengthen your personal author brand. There's pages, should have one for each of your books. And groups. This is for attracting and building a tribe or a community of like-minded people. Instagram, it's great if you've got a lot of images and you want to share images of books and authors and what have you. Pinterest is pretty much the same. And YouTube, while technically it's not a social platform, it can still be a source of social interaction. File management, inclusive of backups. Now, file management is an often overlooked aspect of author platforms. Over time, you'll be creating lots of content and building a large repository of data, images, and video. When starting out, your computer's hard drive will usually suffice. However, you will still need to organize and back up your files. I use my hard drive primarily, and I use that supported by Google Drive. I use Google Drive for documents that I'm collaborating on with others. I also free up space on my hard drive by using it to hold my archives, and I automate the backup of my laptop direct into Drive. Now, because I have a lot of data, I'm on the paid version of Drive, but it's still very modest. It's only a few dollars a month, and very well worth it. Videos take up a lot of space and need to be hosted somewhere. The low-cost way is to use YouTube, which, by the way, is the second largest search engine in the world. You should be using it for that reason alone. Because it's a free platform, they need to raise revenue via advertising, which can be annoying if you're using it to host videos that you place on your website. To overcome this, I use Vimeo to host my websites that are to appear on my website and those that I create to share on social media. Vimeo has some low-cost plans for those starting out. Other tools. Now, this area can become absolutely endless, but be aware of the bright, shiny object syndrome. The airways are filled with tools and toys that are marketed by genuine as well as 2-minute gurus. The reality is that most will soak up your time and money and will have minimal impact on your results. At the end of the day, it all depends on what you already have access to and how you want to communicate to your audience. Now, the key takeaways for your author platform technology tools are, firstly, stick to the basics and it will work. Avoid the bright, shiny object syndrome. Thirdly, evolve your tools as your platform evolves. And finally, Use automation to quickly and easily scale. I know building your platform can seem daunting, but it doesn't have to be. In coming episodes, I'll be exploring the simple, no BS and low cost approach to building a solid platform that you can leverage for many years to come. Finally, I want to leave you with one piece of advice. Your technology tools are an important element in building a modern author platform and your subsequent success as an author. Rather than rushing out and investing in the latest tech toy, I always advise to leverage what you already have in your toolkit first. Otherwise, you run a very grave risk of wasting an enormous amount of time and money on tools that won't deliver the results you're after.